started talking about a spiritual topic. What should I talk about?
Lunar.
Yeah, so lunar. So basically in older cultures, like Eastern cultures, like India and stuff, they go based upon the lunar calendar because it's more enmeshed with actual cycles on the earth with respect to like tide and so forth, right? It doesn't follow the same pattern as the helio calendar based on the sun, but like the lunar calendar is actually more in tune with the earth to my knowledge because, you know, with respect to tide and other gravitational forces, the moon has more of an impact to play. And with respect to a lot of the old Indian culture, there's a lot of math and stuff that the Rishis and meditators and stuff from thousands of years ago discovered that wasn't discovered in the West until the last 500 years or so, around the time or after the time of the Enlightenment and so forth. And they did that through study and through meditation. You know, those old Indian people were geniuses, and they're people who devoted their entire lives to spiritual study, to self-awareness, to deep meditation, and they produce some of the greatest texts, the greatest wisdoms that had ever elucidated the earth. And this is, I'm talking 2,000, 3,000 years ago. And it's because of that adherence to deep spirituality that they were able to glean that type of insight. The type of insight that doesn't just come through math and calculation, things like that. So you have to look it up, but there are certain things like the 108 is a very profound number, because I think the Earth's distance 108 times goes to the moon, or vice versa, right? And 108 is 12 times, I don't know, 11. That's significant somehow, but there's a lot to be learned about Earth and science based in Indian ancient spirituality before they had scientific means to really ascertain it. Now, what does that have to do with consciousness? Well, consciousness is still universal and all-pervading, and it's the creation of all those things. And through conscious effort, those insights were gleaned into those rishis and stuff like that. So it's through consciousness that these things ended up coming about. So what can we as a collective end up discovering if we focus our minds more meditatively instead of egoistically? Right? With more awareness, with more presence, with more being in tune with our bodies and the earth and so forth. What can we now, with our current technology and swath of material wisdom, produce and create? I think it's unforeseeable, but it's beyond anything those Indian people could have done, because they were dealing with the most base of materials and material knowledge. Right? They're just people, ultimately. Right? We're all just people. We can do amazing things now too, and put it to greater and more amazing effect. Yeah, and George Harrison of the Beatles, he said that the music that they made is only a pale reflection of the beauty that's ever present, the beauty that God creates every day. And we'll use that word to equate with consciousness for the purposes of this video. And if you look at this, like, this is the type of thing that a painter would paint, right? These deep, varied shades of blue, gray. It may look darker on camera. I don't know how it's actually going to look when I publish this, but right now I'm seeing deep, dark blues and grays, and moonlight and a little bit of sunlight illuminating mountains, civilization, clouds, and so forth, right? This is the beauty of consciousness's creation, right? This is the ever-changing beauty. These clouds in their current arrangement will never come again. And as a matter of fact, they changed from the time I started this sentence, right? The whole reality is a passing, fluid thing. And this is just one experience, one angle of it, from the angle that this camera is looking at it. But if I were to change the angle, it changes ever so slightly. If I were to go to that highway down there, it would change. So it's just different glimpses at the same thing, but that same thing is currently changing. You see, so no things are actually totally stable, right? Reality is always moving. It's always in constant flux. And there's a beauty to that. There's a beauty to the impermanence of it, because nothing can be held. Everything is changing. We have to embrace the now. We have to embrace what's here. We have to see and feel the beauty that is actual, rather than the concepts in our mind which can hold us from that. Rather than thinking excessively about stuff that doesn't matter, we have to feel the amazing, ever-present beauty that consciousness is creating constantly in ways that are constantly changing, different experiences for us all to have.